I made a billionaire real estate mogul pay me $5 million for a piece of land that was technically a swamp just because he forgot to check a map from the 1920s. My name is Julian, and until last year, I was just a guy living in a small, weathered cabin on the edge of a rapidly developing city in Texas. My neighbors had all sold out to a massive luxury resort project led by a man named Sterling, a billionaire who believes that everyone has a price and that rules are just suggestions for people who aren't as rich as him. Sterling wanted my 3-acre plot to build his grand entrance and a private golf course. He offered me $100,000 and told me I should be grateful I wasn't being evicted by the city. When I told him the land had been in my family for 3 generations and I wasn't interested in selling, he didn't take it well. "Listen, Julian," he sneered, leaning against his 6-figure SUV. "I'm gonna build this resort whether you like it or not. I've got the mayor in my pocket and a legal team that costs more per hour than you make in a year. You can take the 100 grand now, or you can watch me use eminent domain to take it for 10. Your choice." Then the bullying started. His construction crews accidentally knocked down my fence. They parked heavy machinery right outside my bedroom window and let the engines idle at 3 a.m. They even managed to get my property rezoned as a public nuisance to pressure me into a forced sale. They thought they were breaking me, but they were actually just giving me a reason to fight back. Sterling's fatal flaw was his ego. He assumed that because I lived in a cabin, I was uneducated. He didn't know that I spent my weekends in the basement of the state library, digging into the riparian rights and water management laws of the early 1900s, and that's where I found his multi-billion-dollar nightmare. Back in 1924, my great-grandfather had signed a deed that included a very specific environmental protection covenant. It stated that the natural creek running through my property was part of a protected watershed, and it could never be diverted, dammed, or altered without the unanimous consent of the landowners, which was just me. I kept quiet and watched. I watched them spend $20 million clearing the surrounding land. I watched them pour the foundations for the main hotel. I waited until the day they brought in the massive excavators to start digging out the artificial lake for his golf course, a lake that relied entirely on diverting my creek. The moment the first shovel hit the dirt, I walked onto the site with a court-ordered injunction and a team of environmental surveyors. Sterling came charging out, screaming about how I was trespassing on a construction zone. I just handed him a copy of the 1924 covenant and a map of the protected watershed. "Actually, Sterling," I said, "you're the one trespassing on a protected ecological zone. This creek is the lifeblood of the local wetlands. You've already diverted it by 6 inches, which is a federal violation. If I call the EPA right now, this whole project gets shut down for the next 10 years for an environmental impact study." His legal team huddled around the document, and I watched the blood drain from their faces. They realized that to bypass the law, they would have to completely redesign the entire resort layout, which would cost them nearly $100 million and years of delays. Sterling looked like he was literally going to explode. "What do you want, you little rat?" he hissed, his expensive suit covered in construction dust. "The price has gone up," I said calmly. "I want $5 million for the property. I want a full environmental restoration of the creek bed you disturbed, and I want a personal handwritten letter of apology for the 3 a.m. noise complaints." The negotiation lasted exactly 10 minutes. He didn't have a choice. His investors would have skinned him alive if the project got halted by a federal agency. He signed the papers, and the money hit my account 48 hours later. I didn't stay to watch them build. I sold the cabin, packed my bags, and bought a luxury ranch in Montana, where the only neighbors are elk and mountains. Last week, Sterling's resort finally opened. I sent him a congratulatory gift, a small gold-plated shovel with 1924 engraved on the handle. I'm told he keeps it in his office as a reminder of the nobody who outsmarted him. Was I the jerk for using a century-old law to squeeze a billionaire? Or was it just fair play after they tried to destroy my life? Let me know in the comments if you would have asked for more, and tell me your best revenge against the boss stories.